Hey guys, how's it going on? I'm here to bring you a discussion video on what everyone has been talking about. And that is the theory of that Kaminari is the traitor in Boku no Hero Academia. Now before I get into the gripes of this, I just want to address why people are thinking this. Why do the fans of Boku no Hero think that Kaminari is the traitor? And I'll give you a clue right now. Well, not a clue, sorry, I'll tell you why he's the traitor. Okay, so Kaminari is a guy, he's in Class A, you know, his quirk is electricity. We know that he can control electricity and, you know, diffuse it outwards and all that kind of stuff. But if he over-exceeds a certain watt limit, like if he goes maximum power, it short-circuits his brain. So he becomes a little bit, what's the word? He basically becomes like, I don't even know how to explain, he just can't function pretty much. He just literally cannot function. So, we know about his quirk. Now, Kaminari, there's a lot of theories going on the Kaminari because there's been a lot of evidence that Horikoshi, the manga, has been telling us. At the start of the series, there was the Villain Alliance arc, and that was at the start, around like chapter 13, 15, around that kind of time. And we found out during those chapters that there must be someone with a quirk similar to Kaminari who was, you know, jamming the communications. So Kaminari is basically a walking GPS. So a lot of people, that must have gone over everyone's heads, you know, it's the start of the series. Not a lot of people must have thought much to it. So we go later on to the Stain arc. And the Stain arc, you know, Stain comes in, his ideals are revolutionary. It still impacted the society in Boku no Hero to this day. Stain comes in, you know, he gets defeated after that arc. Everyone's talking about him in class. And then, you know, Kaminari comes up. And I've got it up on here and I'm just going to read it out. And so Kaminari comes out and he's just like, yeah, he's scary. But he's really cool, isn't he? And the way Horikoshi presented that is like he had a whole panel to himself and behind him was just like darkness, like just shrouding everything. So a lot of people were like, So people, when they saw that, they were like, okay, maybe Stain's ideals are rubbing off on some of the students. But thinking about it now with the theories that I've read, this is not my own theory, I saw it online, so I'm just going to pretty much debunk it and just like talk about it. And now, so pretty much with like the theories that I've been seeing online, the dots are connecting. The dots are really connecting. And if you guys who are watching this who are up to date, check the recent chapter. I believe it is chapter 104. That's where you see everyone with Deku. Where the heck is Kaminari? Kaminari's not there. In the previous chapter we do see, or is it 2 chapters ago, we do see Todoroki running off. And then we see Bakugo running off, and then Kirishima follows Bakugo. But I don't believe we've seen Kaminari yet. So, personally, I'm a little bit on the fence if Kaminari is the traitor or not. There's a lot of evidence to show that he is, but I just feel like if he, like, we just need a bit more. I feel like if it happened right now and he was just like, oh, I'm the traitor, we need something big for him to, like, we need a big reveal, in my opinion. Otherwise, if it just happened out of the blue, it wouldn't seem as impactful, especially for Kaminari, because bear in mind, Kaminari is not one of the most major characters in Boku no Hero. He is definitely in the circle of the major characters, but he's not one of the primary characters. He's not like Todoroki or Ida or Ibaraka. Okay, so here are some of the things. I'm going to read them out loud. Now, these are the ones where, the one that I want to say the most, which I want to pick out the most is, there was one where which kind of hit me and I was just like, okay. So there were he was talking about a scenario, and that is Monoma. And if you guys know Monoma, he's the guy who can copy each of his quirks. He's in Class B, and he pretty much is just salty over Class A. Like, he's always triggered against Class A. So these guys, they pitched out a scenario that Monoma steals, well, he copies Kaminari's quirk, and then he just like releases maximum power, and then everyone in Class A is just like, oh, that's your fault, you're gonna turn into an idiot right now, you're not gonna be able to function. And then a couple of seconds later, he's still the same. Like, he's not he's still functioning fine. So there's a lot of theories that people may be thinking that the whole thing about Kaminari saying that when he exceeds the maximum limit and his brain short circuits, people thinking that's just a lie. People thinking he's just putting it on, because if you put it on and you're basically saying that my quirk is kind of powerful, but it's got an unbelievably annoying limit. So if people believe that Kaminari's got a limit to his power, then they're not really going to think much of him, or they're not going to think of him being a threat in the future. Now, this is kind of one of the ones where when I saw this, I was just like, okay, this is not from the fans, it's from the author, Horikoshi himself. So the first time Horikoshi draws Kaminari, he draws Kaminari with like jagged, spiky hair. His demeanor is all like, what's the word? What can I say? Villainous and extremely like angry and terrifyingly looking. That was Kaminari's first design. Horikoshi said that he had to change it because it looked too much of a villain. So maybe that's like a hint. Maybe that was just like it kind of connects now, the fact that Kaminari is a true villain from the day, because you need to think of it from no one knew about the location. They did know about. No one outside of UA knew about the location, so it must have been someone from the inside to tell about the Villain Alliance where they were. So if Kaminari was the traitor, then Kaminari, he knew where they were going, and then obviously since he's pretty much a walking GPS, because we find out that he can use his quirk to communicate with people, when he found out where they were going, he must have communicated to the Villain Alliance saying, look, we're going here, be there now, or like be there soon, something like that. Now, again, with all this evidence, it is connecting the dots, like the dots are truly connecting. Some of them were like the stain, that was a good one. There was one on episode 10. Now with Horikoshi, some of you guys may not know, he's very, what's the word, he keeps up with his Twitter a lot. He's very into his Twitter account. Now with his Twitter account, for every chapter and episode, he draws something. He draws like a little tribute kind of thing to the chapter or to the episode. And it was in episode 10, I believe. Yes, in episode 10, one of the sketch, Horikoshi draws Kaminari really weirdly. And when I mean it like extremely weird, each side of his face looked like they belong to another person. Not one side of the face looked like it belonged to Kaminari. It didn't look like Kaminari. Like the eyes, the smile, the eyebrows, all of that, it didn't really look like it belonged to Kaminari's face. So maybe Horikoshi was kind of alluding to the fact that, you know, he's putting a mask on, not physically, like literally, metaphorically speaking. Maybe the fact is it's like a subtle hint that Kaminari is the traitor, and he's kind of putting on this facade, trying to trick people and not telling him his true colours. Now, if Kaminari is the traitor, I would be extremely interested in his why. Like, why would he do this? Because you need to realize, in Boku no Hero, it's a hero-saturated society. It's a hero-saturated universe. So pretty much the average person, the average human in Boku no Hero, 9 times out of 10, well maybe like, 9 times out of 10, they want to be a hero. Especially a kid growing up, they want to be a hero. And we find out with all the villains that we know of from Boku no Hero, for example, think of Stain or Shigaraki, they didn't grow up wanting to be a villain. Shigaraki, he kind of fell into the villainous path. Whatever happened to his parents, and All For One kind of came in and indoctrinated those kind of ideals into Shigaraki. With Stain, we find out that Stain was a hero originally, but he noticed that everyone was just being a fake. So far, there must obviously be, so far, most of the characters, all of the characters in Boku no Hero, we haven't seen someone that kind of grew up wanting to be evil. So it'd be really interesting on Kaminari's why. Like, why is he doing these kind of things? Now, a thought kind of came into my head, and I was reading it from here as well. The whole relationship dynamic between Kaminari and Jiro, because I know a lot of people are thinking about, you know, pairings and that, and there's obviously, Horikoshi has kind of alluded to the fact, he's kind of hinted that there's something going on between Kaminari and Jiro, like either one likes the other, maybe Jiro likes Kaminari or something. So picture this, what if Kaminari is the traitor and Jiro finds out? What would that do to Jiro? Because there's one, there's one thing, okay, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so someone writes this, and it's like, Jiro and Kaminari, they have an intimate moment. Her heart is pounding, she leans in, eyes closed, suddenly her eyes shoot open. Kaminari speaks. He says, "It's funny. There's a knife in Jiro's abdomen." You always thought I was the dumb one. So like, if that actually happened, that would be mad, because in my opinion, it would be so much character development for the two, and if you actually no one would see that coming. That would actually be such a shocker for something like that to happen. Now, I was just pretty much throughout this video, I was just speaking of a lot of some of the evidence that we've seen in some chapters about Kaminari. Some things, some little hints, some little clues, some things in the series that kind of picks out, kind of stands out, that makes you think, hang on, that's a little bit weird. That's pretty much what I was just talking about. Now, there hasn't really been a stating, for example, we haven't seen like Kaminari and he does like a shady kind of look. We haven't seen anything like that. All I'm saying is that there's a lot of evidence that can back up this theory. This theory can be true because there is a traitor in Boku no Hero, and I really do like how Horikoshi's doing it, because Horikoshi's not really like, he's not throwing it out in our faces saying, look, there's a traitor, or like every chapter there's not like we don't see the teachers thinking we gotta be quiet of this, otherwise we can't let anything happen again. Like, Horikoshi, he's put in the thought of a traitor in the mist. It's in the back of our minds. So when it does come back up, when it does resurface, and the reveal does happen, we're not going to see it coming. It's going to be extremely out of the blue. It's going to be extremely suspenseful, very impacting, and I honestly cannot wait for it. And I really do wish, part of me, once I've read all of this, I kind of do wish it is Kaminari now, because it just makes so much sense, and it will have such an impact on the class, especially Jiro, and some characters who don't always get the spotlight. For example, yes, of course Jiro, but other minor characters that it could do, especially with some people that are closer to Kaminari. Now, before I leave this video and I finish it off, I just want to remind you guys, Kaminari is a remedial. And in Boku no Hero, you guys remember what a remedial is. A remedial, they're the students who, I think they didn't manage to pass a test, or they barely managed to. Like, they barely passed by 1 mark, or I think they just didn't pass it in general. So, Aizawa Sensei, he picked these guys up and he's given them extra lessons. He's given them extra, training, you could say. That is what Kaminari is. So what if he's kind of faking it? So you kind of see, either way, Kaminari, it kind of seems purposely, but he's consciously not putting himself in the front. He's consciously not, like going out to do something where we can always see him. He's always in the shadows, if you realise that. Look back in the previous chapters. And maybe it just seems like Horikoshi's kind of doing it by accident, but I think there's more to it than meets the eye. So please, guys, tell me your thoughts, comments below what you think of this theory. It's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. I should have made this video earlier, but I just felt on the fence, to be honest. I didn't really think it was concrete. But after reading it again, after seeing the recent chapter, and I haven't seen Kaminari in this arc, I believe, I'm just thinking, hang on, it can be true. So please tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you don't think it's Kaminari, who else do you think? I remember at one point in time I was thinking that it may be Aizawa Sensei. I know a lot of people are thinking Shinso as well. He's from the General Ed department with the brainwashing quirk. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue the discussion down below. I'll drop a link of this theory in the description, and other links, of some of the panels that we see Kaminari looking a little bit shifty, a little bit shady. Shinami-san, peace out, guys. And I'll see you next time for that Boku no Hero greatness. Shinigami-san, goodbye.